Hey everybody, I feel a couple more rambles coming on, and today I'm going to talk about social media, and it's it's been brewing inside my head because of a large conversation that has been happening on the Breakfast Club, video after video amongst different creators. This notion has been batted around of social media addiction, and the last installment of it was from Sword Sage, and I really enjoyed that video. I had a pretty long video that I gave the Breakfast Club a couple weeks ago that was in the same vein. Um, that conversation's been going on for a while, and it's also been on my channel for a very long time. You guys, if you've been following me for a while, you know how I feel about social media, or at least some of my thoughts. And I'm wanting to explore a few more thoughts, especially given my perspective is probably very different than a lot of you. And so I'm going to focus on a particular aspect of what might be an addiction to social media, in that I see, because of my occupation, a lot of people who are addicted to a lot of things, right? But I'm also privy to a certain subsection of the community that, because of their other addictions, they are removed from social media. And that is, I see a lot of cases where there's a homeless person who's on the streets, living on the streets, just living day to day, has no phone, has no real connection to the internet other than going to the library and using the computer for, maybe an hour at a time, if they get that luxury. Um, and really, I know a lot of people who are too old to have grown up with the internet. They became homeless before the internet was really a craze that spread across the world, and they've been drinking, drugging, and homeless for a very long time, and they're kind of in a time capsule, these people. And so it's strange that when I look at them, there's an aspect of them that seems apart from everyone else that I know that is using social media all the time. Especially my fellow YouTubers in that circle of friends I have here on the internet, okay? Um, and in a way, even though they have their other vices that have taken over their lives, there's this certain aspect of them that seems healthier. It's strange because they're killing themselves. Um, their 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 livers are shot. They look 20 years older than they actually are. You know, just they're doing horrible things to themselves. But because they're removed from social media, they don't have this weird vibe coming off of them. You know, they seem more real, and sometimes they're better at connecting with people, with other people, in order to get help than people who are connected to social media would be in asking other people for help with something like, hey, can you spare $1? You know, I really need a drink, but I need $1 to get on the bus, or I need $1 to get a cheeseburger, that sort of thing. They're really good at approaching people with panhandling because they don't have this social inhibition from living with a digital wall around them, and so they have no problem if you have some candy on your desk asking, hey, can I have some of that candy? You know, yum, whatever uh, whatever pressures that other people seem to have as far as social inhibitions, they're just gone. And maybe this is the alcohol just destroying all inhibition, but it also seems to be that people who are not interacting regularly with other people seem to lose gumption. They seem to lose the ability to dare to ask, "Hey, can I impose upon you this? Can I get this from you? Could you help me out with this?" And it's a strange thing that some of the most addicted people I know with alcohol and drugs seem to be removed from this other addiction in a healthier way for their mind. Um, Social media addiction can really start to affect people. And then there's a different generation of addicts that I have come across. Now, in my professional experience, I have had to work a lot of jobs that run closely with the criminal justice system. Of course, if you deal with addicts and what they're addicted to is criminalized, there's a lot of them that run into criminal justice proceedings. You get a lot of justice referrals to treatment, and I've worked in treatments that were only for people who were referred from the criminal justice system, and that was their sole source of funding, and so that was the clientele. And so I've worked with clients that have shown me, younger clients, this younger set that grew up with social media. They've shown me that their social media addiction has been just as strong as some of their other addictions. Okay? I've seen keystering happen. Okay? If you don't know what that is, a euphemism for that is the prison suitcase. And basically, it's sneaking a phone into a place where you're not allowed to have a phone, like a jail or prison or a treatment center, in your butt. You know, it's a thing, right? Some people are so addicted to being connected to the internet and connected to, you know, their families, but also just knowing things right away and getting notifications and getting that feedback loop of reward from they posted something on social media and they get some likes, you know. They're so addicted to it that they will risk some very harsh penalties, such as I have worked for organizations that upon finding that somebody has snuck in electronic devices, that person is then summarily ejected from the treatment program. Now, some treatment programs, it's because the electronics would be distracting, and it's part of the treatment that you clear your mind for a couple weeks and really work on you. And some of them I've seen, they have more religious-based reasoning for not allowing someone to have a cell phone, say, in the treatment facility, because they're afraid that somebody's going to start streaming porn and start, beating their meat in the beds in the dorms, And porn is an addiction for some, but they have very religious reasons for not liking porn at all, and they think that it basically it will lead to relapse. And there is some science to back that up, in that if you quit smoking cigarettes at the same time as you quit all your other drugs, you're less likely to relapse than you would be if you were to continue smoking cigarettes after you quit other drugs. The reward that you get from the cigarettes, the instant gratification, it's just kind of working along the same pathways of the brain that were short-circuited by the other drugs, and so you're kind of keeping your addiction alive. And in that sense, they think that if someone were to view porn for instant gratification every night, that they would then still be more likely to relapse on whatever other drugs they were there to get treatment for. So there's all sorts of reasons for keeping people from having access to just phone services and the internet when they're going through treatment. Some of them being one of the worst ways that people get undercut when they're in treatment. One of the worst ways that people will just withdraw and not pay attention to anything for days is when they get bad news from family, such as, hey, while you're at treatment, guess what? Your girlfriend just moved out of your place. And she took a bunch of your stuff. And you're going to come home to an empty pad. And, oh, by the way, she took your kids across state lines. And, yeah, stuff like that. That's going to get someone mentally checked out when they're in a treatment facility, you know, and they can't leave or they're going to face consequences. But even though those consequences are great if they were to leave or fail those programs, a lot of times people will attempt to break the rules in order to, you know, sneak in social media connections into their treatment. I have seen, beyond keystering, I've seen the strangeness of sheets tied together in order to lower a basket and bring up things, you know, contraband things, and among them would be a cell phone, you know. I've never worked directly inside of prisons, you know, long-term prisons, but I've heard that there are many cases of the prisoners having better cell phones than the guards. When they finally get caught with them, they're like, how the fuck did you get the latest iPhone? I can't even afford the latest iPhone, you know? And be it keystering or having a drone airdrop it into the yard when the guards are paid off, you know. However they got it, you know. And how is it that they are, you know, so intent at connecting to the internet and to, you know, texting and messages and all of that? What is it about that makes them risk so much? Because, you know, you want to connect with your family. You want to have that connection, right? But if you get caught, then you will be separated from your family even longer. You will tack on years onto a sentence. If you're in a treatment center, if you fail the treatment and you get kicked out for sneaking in a cell phone, you could get remanded to prison for the rest of whatever sentence you had on probation or parole. You can get sent back in the pogey, right? Then you're really, really separated from your loved ones. So why would you risk it? And I think it's because it's so rewarding to that dopamine pathway to be able to check your status updates, you know, check to see how many people have liked what you posted, you know, check to see how many people liked your video. It's that strong of a pull that people will risk being sent to fucking prison for it. This is probably just one in a series of videos because I've got a lot of other thoughts on this topic, but I'll try to address any comments you guys leave in the comments section in the next video. We'll keep this conversation going. How's that? Sound fair? Cool.